before I do anything, hold on. We need to understand what the air brake is, okay? Not just memorize the numbers and move like the paper says to do so, you know? Low air warning. It's just a system to tell you got low pressure and pull over, okay? So for that, you fire it up, systems are on, you start losing the air until your buzzer comes on or the light here, okay? And then you gotta tell them it should happen between 55 and 75 psi on either the primary or secondary. In other words, if one needle says 90 but the other one's in range, it's gotta come on because you got two air systems. Cut out and cut in. You're looking or you're checking the compressor where it's turning off and where it's turning back on, okay? So it's not to exceed 140 for the top end and not to go below 100 at the low end, okay? So the cutout is pretty simple. You just rev it up until you reach the cutout, right, where you hear that noise. But never say you can tell by hearing that. Always say that you can see the needle stop rising.
Because it's not necessarily gonna hear. Not necessarily gonna. It's gonna do the noise, right?
No.
Because when we did it, it popped out. It maxed out at 120 psi, and I didn't hear the.
Right. Plus, if there's other trucks around you, you may mistaken hear. You know. All right. So yeah, you don't want to say that because they will fail you for saying that. That, you know, because you can hear the pop.
Yeah, don't say that.
Be advised on that. Okay, now the cut in. We need to get lower pressure so that the compressor activates or turns back on. So when we do that, this is why we brake one time, release, and we rev it up, right? We're checking with that little less pressure to see if it's gonna rise, right? But on this truck, it takes about 3 times because we want to get to about 105, 103 pounds. And then you can just wait for it right there and it will rise right there. So you want to give them the last reading you had when it landed. You know, so if it landed at 104, you're going to say, okay, cut in at 104. Not 3 or 5 pounds later. Okay? And once you see it rise, yeah, just confirm that it's still rising and tell them the minimum, not to go below 100.
At that point, you already took your foot off the accelerator, correct?
Yeah. So that's cut out and cut in. Now the 460, I think that's the one with the most steps to follow. The 460 applied, you're checking for air leaks. Okay? So the only way you're gonna really check for air leaks is by pressurizing the system in the truck. Complete system. This is why you have to build up to maximum pressure. Okay. Turn the engine off and release the brakes here. Okay. This is gonna pressurize the service part of it. Okay. And then once that's stable, then you gotta step on this side over here. Brake. And that's how you know your truck is fully pressurized. So if you guys leave one of these out or both of them out and you were trying to do the 460, it's not going to be a good test. You'll fail for that.
And it has to be in gear.
Yes. The gear is so that you guys don't roll away or move or anything, because you know you're going to release everything. Okay? And then it's 4 pounds maximum air loss. But you also want to do the brake, the reading, and the time in that order. They can also fail you if you start the timer and after that you give them the reading where you're starting. Okay? That little thing will fail you. So always remember the brake, the reading, and the last thing is the time. Now after the minute goes, make sure that you guys don't release the brake right away. First check and see what happened and let them know what happened. If you lost pressure or not, primary or secondary, and then just tell them that it's good. 4 pounds is maximum air loss. Okay? So yeah, be clear on that. Everything has to be pressurized.
And when you apply the service brake to start the test, you have to wait until it stops adjusting before you start everything and tell them that reading?
Which one?
Because what usually happens is as you hit the service brake, the pressure drops a little by itself.
Yes.
And
That's
then you wait till that stops, right?
that is not a leak. That's applying pressure. So the reading has to be after you step on the brake. Like I said right now, you brake, you give them the reading, and then last the time. In that order. Has to be in that order. Yeah. Now the second 4 tests of the test here are pretty simple, right? That's just the trailer brake, which you have to have the trailer on, parking brake off. You do a tug, see if it moves, and then the other way is for the tractor parking brake, that's on, trailer brakes off, same thing. Service brake, you release them both, move forward, and then step on the service brake here to stop, and it shouldn't go left or right, and it should stop properly. And then the last one, the spring brake, you just turn the engine off, leave everything like it is, brakes off in gear, and you pump it down until they pop out. And then it should happen between 20 and 45 psi. 20, 45.
What is that one called?
The spring brake. Okay? Any questions on those?
Just out of technicality, when you get ready to do your 460, I like to charge the system up to full maximum. When you're releasing everything, does it matter if you do it before or after the engine's off? To
It
them?
does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I always tell you guys to do the U. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Max air.
Right.
Engine off.
Then engine off.
Gear.
In gear.
Right here, see?
Mm-hmm.
And straight up, brakes off.
Right, and then hit the brake pedal. Okay, cool.
Oh, after you let it stabilize.
Yeah, stay there.
So that's been good here, the U,
Okay.
especially in that order.
And release them one at a time, not both at the same time, huh?
Yes. When you release, put your hand over one only, release, and then the other. And don't do this shit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you got to make sure it goes to the bottom.
Yeah.
Hold it for a second and then let go. That's how it should be done. Any other questions? No? Okay. So before I do the air brake, I'm gonna do the in-cab inspection. And it's supposed to be with the engine on, but I'm gonna do it with the engine off so you guys can hear me better. Windshield, no cracks, no obstructions, no leaks around the seal. It does have a tiny crack, nothing major though. Wiper blades are not dry rotted, cracked, broken, or missing. Turn them on here. The washer's over here. Good working condition. Side view mirrors, adjusted to me. They're not cracked, broken, or missing. No loose or missing bolts. The air horn works. The city horn is not working at the time, which is good. Don't worry about that. As long as you have the main one, the air horn. 20-inch steering wheel. You're not to exceed 2 inches in free play. So this one here has about an inch, which is good, not more than 2 inches. And then you have the clutch, not exceeding 2 inches of free play. Okay? From there you can go to the instrument cluster here. We're gonna say that the oil needs to be between 20 and 40 at low idle. Temperature from 180 and 210 is the normal range. Battery voltage from 12 to 14 volts. Okay. Those are the only ones you have to check there. After that, you can say that you're checking your instrument indicator lights. We have the left turn there, the right turn here, 4-way flashers here and there. And for the high and low beam, you gotta have the lights on and do this. Now, it's very hard to see that, dude, but it's
Does it
right
look-
there.
Yeah.
Oh, you were asking about the remember? Yeah. Okay, so that works. That's my instruments cluster there. From there, you go to the heater defroster. Make sure all the knobs are there. Nothing's broken or missing. It does blow air. Yep, works. From there, we'll go to the gear shifter, making sure there's no excessive free play. This is normal, it's good. The boot's complete, so there's no fumes leaking in. The emergency triangles here, we should have 3 in there, red in color, not cracked, broke, or missing. Fire extinguisher here, mounted secured, fully charged with the safety on, and it should be at least a 5 BC rated extinguisher. We have a 10 ABC, so it's above the minimum. This box right here is the fuse circuit breaker box. You don't have to open it, just say that none of them are blown and we have spares in case we need them. Okay, but don't forget the engine has to be running. Okay?
With your
Talking
belt
about
on.
the seat belt and the chair.
Yeah, the seat belt is one where when you get in, that's the first thing you gotta do. Okay? Don't even start, nothing else. Just sit here, put it on. Tell them it works and there's no frays or cracks. Now I'm gonna start the engine and go over to the brake system. First one's the lower warning. So we start pumping the brakes. We have about 73 on the primary and secondary, which is good. The range is 55 to 75. Now we rev it up. We do the cutout. The cutout, we're just waiting to see where it stops. gear, both brakes off. We're gonna let it stabilize. Okay, it's stable. We apply the brake. Stable. We got 100 psi or 101 on primary and secondary. Yeah, 101. And then you go for the timer. Starting the time now. We're gonna wait 60 seconds and see if it loses any air.
Do we need to let them at, let's say in this example, it says, it looks like we're stabilized with everything, my foot on the pedal at 101. I'm starting my time. It is meeting the requirements of being at least 85, or is that just a knowledge to 85?
That's just the knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to mention that. Alright, let's say the time's up. And it looks like it went up a little bit actually. So there's no air loss on the primary or the secondary.
Is
Good
that
test.
a good thing or bad thing?
It's just the air pressure is searching up and down, you know, until it stabilizes, and then it'll give you a different reading. Alright, so that's good. After that, we put the brakes on, out of gear, engine running. Alright, we're gonna check the parking brake here. So we release the trailer. You don't have to feel the engine, just to when you feel it wanting to take off. Now the trailer brake, the trailer brake on.
That's the reverse. That's the tractor, not the trailer. That's trailer? Okay.
Tractor reverse. Trailer's on. Check it.
I always thought the red was the tractor.
Now we release both brakes. Now this time I'm going forward a little bit, right? Okay. Service brake. On forward. Stop. Make sure it doesn't go left or right. Stop. Okay, the vehicle next to it. This will make sure that you're not touching the steering. Okay. The vehicle's in gear. The brakes are off. So we start pumping the brake pedal. Release the pedal. You want to do it slow like this, you know. Don't go crazy with it. Okay, they both came out. Yep, 32 psi.
And that was spring brake.
And the range for that is 20 to 45. So that is in range. It's a good test. And that's that. That's the end cap and air brakes.